38 years old, a resident of the city of Southfield. He was a devoted husband, a devoted father, and a respected businessman. And what I'm told from the neighbors, he was a good neighbor. They had a lot of respect for Mr. Hudson. He's a valid CPL holder, and he does not have any criminal history. The Southfield Police Department has been working this case tirelessly. We have formed partnerships. We formed partnerships with the United States Secret Service, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, the Detroit Police Department Crime Intelligence Unit, and also the community has been a valued partner in this process as well. Out of that partnership, we have established a person of interest. This incident occurred this Sunday, December 27th at approximately 7:50 p.m. and it was captured on video home surveillance. It shows Mr. Hudson returning to his home located in the 26,000 block of Primary Drive. He pulls into his driveway and he's seated there for several seconds. It also shows an unknown vehicle occupied by at least 3 individuals, one of which being armed with a handgun. These individuals exit the vehicle. The individual armed with a handgun approaches Mr. Hudson's on the driver's side of the vehicle. The other 2 suspects follow in on the passenger side. At some point, there was an exchange of gunfire between Mr. Hudson and the armed suspect. It appears that Mr. Hudson was successful in striking that suspect as he fell to the ground. While that suspect was on the ground, he was able to continue firing and ultimately did strike Mr. Hudson. The suspect appeared to be moving very slowly after this point, where he was able to remove Mr. Hudson from that passenger side, driver's side of that vehicle, and then gain access to that vehicle and flee in an unknown direction. The individuals who accompanied the suspect, once the exchange of gunfire unfolded, they returned back to that vehicle and fled in an unknown direction. The vehicle is still out. Mr. Hudson's vehicle is still out. We're still looking for a 2013 white Toyota Tundra, license plate Charles Paul Adam 1749. Again, Charles Paul Adam 1749, a white Toyota Tundra. Our person of interest. Our person of interest arrived at a local hospital at approximately 8:12 p.m., which will be 22 minutes after the initial incident unfolded. This individual was suffering from gunshot wounds to the neck and chest. He's described as 25 years old. He does have a history of violence, where in 2013 he was arrested in the city of Redford for an armed robbery. In 2019, he was arrested in the city of Detroit for a carjacking. But in both those incidents, he was not convicted of those crimes. But again, he does have a significant history. He also has ties to the city of Southfield. We were able to recover some physical evidence from the hospital. We are working with hospital staff for retrieval of any and all ballistic evidence. And we're also in possession of Mr. Hudson's weapon for proper analysis of the two. We've made contact with Oakland County, who will be doing our ballistic analysis for us, and they assured us that they will do an expedited processing of all DNA and physical evidence. We do not believe that this crime was a random act of violence. We believe that Mr. Hudson was targeted and followed home where he was fatally assaulted. At this time, I'm going to call on Detective Snook. We're going to show you the video home surveillance at this time. Detective. And maybe kill the lights a little bit before he... Thank you, Detective. So at this time, certainly continue to reach out to the community for any tips you can provide. For our media friends, please understand that this investigation is still moving forward. It was important for me to come out and update the community, update the media, update the family, because there's been a huge amount of anger resulting in Mr. Hudson's murder. And so with that being said, I will open up the floor for questions.
The person of interest is hospitalized. Is he still hospitalized or was he discharged?
Still hospitalized.
Any idea on who the accomplices were?
Not this time.
You mentioned not a random act. Do you believe targeted and followed? Can you say from where? Do they know him, or did they see him at a store and followed him home, or did they know him previously, or any context you can give?
Right. In those details, I'd rather let the investigation unfold and not share that at this time. But again, I will assure the community this does appear to be a targeted encounter.
Can you at least acknowledge whether they knew him previously to this encounter?
I can't verify that at this time. Sir?
What's the Secret Service role?
So they provide analysis, phones and whatnot. So they'll be doing a lot of video analysis, retrieval, phones and whatnot.
You mentioned he was a business owner. Can you tell us what this is?
Yes, I'm told he was a successful business owner in the area of real estate.
When you're looking at the surveillance video, obviously it's blurred for us, but when you guys are looking at it, you see this man coming into his driveway, his home, and then he's basically ambushed and you see this shootout. What kind of goes to your mind when you're watching something like that, knowing his wife and kids are in the house?
Well, I'll say I think he had a lot of courage. Obviously, he knew something was unfolding, particularly when he sat in his vehicle, and he was able to respond very quickly. And just like you said, he knew his family was in the home, certainly protective of his family, of himself as well. But again, I think he displayed courage and tried to defend himself and his family as best as he could.
You also spoke about anger, and we're seeing a lot of that on social media. Can you talk to folks who think they can do this, which is so brazen in someone's neighborhood at like 8 in the evening, and to folks who might be fearful?
Yeah.
Can you talk to those?
Yeah,
folks?
and absolutely. And so, as you see, standing with me is a really dedicated police department. We have resources, we have partners, and so when these crimes are committed, there's a high probability that you will be apprehended. And so to the community, certainly rest assured, justice is coming. Allow us to do a little bit more work, but be assured that this was a targeted attack, and we will bring justice to this family.
Appreciating, sorry. I was going to say, appreciating you may not know, but can you clarify it all in regard to he pulls in, he sits there, you said, for a few minutes. So do you believe he knew he was being followed? And the second question I would have along with that would be, do you know, from what you've seen, whether he shot first, whether he was shot at first, or who fired the first shots, I guess is my question.
Right, and for your first question, unknown, I would speculate there's a probability due to him sitting in his vehicle, he may have spotted that vehicle following him and maybe delayed on exiting the vehicle. And so, again, but that's unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know, though, from the video who shot first?
It's unclear. Unclear. You can just see the exchange and the muzzles flashing, but really unclear to see who shot first. But again, definitely both. It was definitely an exchange of gunfire.
And forgive me if this is a stupid question, but the person of interest who's still hospitalized, in custody?
Not in custody at this time.
Okay, but
Again,
just,
right. We have to do some more work to legally put him in custody.
okay.
But
Like, he's not going anywhere.
correct.
Has he acknowledged involvement?
No.
What's his condition?
Critical, what I'm told.
How old is he?
25.
Can you speak to the fact, I spoke to his wife yesterday, and it is just shocking. I mean, to have something like this happen, you run out, you see your husband lying in your driveway. I mean, people feel safe in their home, on their property. Can you talk to that at all?
Yeah, and again, I spoke to Ms. Hudson as well. Certainly expressed condolences for the family, assured her of the status investigation. But I feel her pain, her anger, and again, we're going to get her some justice.
How many homicides is that for the year?
I want to say 3.
Do you have a sense of how many shots were fired in total? I guess you could hear a barrage, but
Yeah, it was numerous. Unknown at this time the exact count.
Again, you mentioned the partners, U.S. Secret Service, Sheriff's Office, and who else?
Detroit Police Department's Crime Intel Unit.
Sorry?
Detroit Police Department Crime Intel Unit was valuable, providing related reports for our person of interest.
Looking back, any thought on how this individual escaped charges or verdicts, I guess, in the previous 2 incidents that you cited?
Yeah, unknown. It could be various factors. You know, these crimes have to be able to be proven in a court of law.
Right.
So maybe there was some type of evidence that maybe wasn't available, which may have contributed to the person not being convicted. So, but it's unknown.
and since you don't believe it's random, I guess the fear in the public, when you go to that neighborhood and it's just a very nice,
Yeah.
regular neighborhood.
Yeah, beautiful neighborhood. A lot of involved community members. Certainly, they've contacted my office, friends of mine, just to get an update on what's happening. Should there be something they need to be worried about? So we did provide that community, those who contacted us, with our update. In addition to that, our community relations officer will be holding an additional conversation with those as it relates to safety tips.
What kind of safety tips?
This overall residential cameras, awareness, anything that the community needs.
Do you think there's anything else, not to victim blame in any way, but do you think there's anything else he could have done, or is there something else you're looking at, or?
No, I mean, I think he was courageous in his approach to defend himself and his family. Just unfortunate with the outcome. All right.
You know, a lot of people might think this is a lot of trouble for a 2013 Toyota. What is that a vehicle that's popular, in theft, or
Yeah.
what should we make of that?
Right, and you pretty much said it. You know, the vehicle is not something that's a vehicle that people seek for this type of violence. So again, furthermore, while we believe this was more of a targeted attack, but again, it's unfortunate.
I apologize for being slow here, and I don't mean it for soundbite form, but just he shot. They pulled him out and then jumped in, steal the vehicle, or help me in regard to the actual
Yeah.
target.
So as you saw in the video, or as I reiterated earlier, once the exchange of gunfire unfolded, the individuals that he came to the location with, they fled.
Right.
So it's a possibility that he used that vehicle as a means of escape.
I see.
Oh, so the other two, they just left? One of
Correct.
But the wounded man took the vehicle.
Correct.
He had no other ride, though.
Correct.
And where is he? Did he go to Beaumont?
We're not disclosing that at this time.
Did he drive himself to the hospital in the Tundra?
And we're going to not disclose that either. That's all part of the investigation. So allow us to do a little bit of work, but not this time. Yeah.
But the vehicle is still missing.
The vehicle's still out. Absolutely. All right. All right.
Spell his last name just so I, is it H-U-D?
Yes. Yeah. HUDSON.
The regular spelling?
Frederick, yes.
Before you go, sir, and I apologize for